Well, this sure shows us what kind of world we're in right now. On this episode of Arcturian Philosophy. You might notice that I have one eye closed. Why exactly is that? Well, one is because I don't quite have some kind of bandage that I've put over it yet. I'm going to have to do that. But, my own optometrist, who's not really a person anymore, tried to blind me. and I kept trying to point out to these reptilians, who to me look like people, but to people with extra-dimensional sight, I know would definitely not look like people. Also, even if you just have sight like a normal human, you'll notice that they move differently. They move in a strange kind of fashion, almost like it's just not them, as if it's something else in there, and it's a movement. It's kind of like this, almost snake-like, yeah, reptilian. There you go. And I actually noticed this, so I knew that the optometrist specifically was a strong reptilian, what you call a strong sending reptilian or whatnot. I could see it there, and then once we were in a room alone, and he, many of you who have had eye exams, where you have your eyes dilated when they look into it with a flashlight. I usually don't ever have to have my eyes dilated because they already are very dilated, which is funny for all the people that are fond of the whole black eye thing. Yeah, I have eyes where if you look at me up close, people think that I'm tripping or something, and I have to tell them no, it's just that's how it's always been, and I never knew why. And as he was standing there, I had a flash of the memory come up of this is not what this usually looks like. What he had a round, a round lens of some kind. I'm not sure if it was concave or convex. It was dark. It was all in the dark, so I couldn't really see, or what way it was either depressed or in another fashion like that. But he, shined his flashlight through it, and as he was holding it, I asked him, "Wait, what is that?" Because I had the memory. Wait, he never usually does that. He just holds up this flashlight and looks into my eye. That's all he does. And and he doesn't need to. He doesn't use that thing, whatever it is. All he usually does is something like that. But I was somehow tricked into it. But you could feel very quickly it's on the what you would call the skin, the area of the eye, and also along its nerves. There were also different things that were used that were suggestive. But I did react very quickly. What I was told afterwards was, well, sorry about that, Krista, but it wasn't a matter of that they knew that they were going to get to you. We knew that too. It just was only a matter of how much damage you would have to sustain, and how difficult it would be to heal. So I thought, well, I had been warned several days ago that, no matter what happens to you, Krista, you must have to hold very firmly in your mind that your spirit animates your body no matter what happens to it. And so I did have some sort of forewarning, because you'd only be told that kind of thing if something was going to happen to you, and you were going to have to deal with it, or deal with the concept of it. And so, what's more important, however, instead of the actual mechanics of what specifically happened, is thinking about what Socrates used to say ultimately sets us free, the philosophical implications of this. We talk about seeing the light. If someone wants to truly see the light, which is something that I have wanted but not actually mentioned, what better way to force a person to see this kind of inner light that we're talking about if they are partly blind? This is kind of reminiscent of the South Africa episode. I will describe this briefly. When I was in South Africa, just supposed to take a position as a chemist with Ibogaine, my glasses literally disappeared right off of my face. But you could attempt to say that I lost them, because I went to sleep with them on and woke up with them gone. But I've done that many, many, many times, and I do know who took them. But what I was told, I was told when I woke up, you're not going to find it, Krista. Your glasses are in another dimension. You're not going to find them. And sure enough, they literally disappeared. And it was in a hotel room. You couldn't you couldn't not find them. I mean, not find them. It did not make any sense whatsoever. And it was clear that no, I knew that I hadn't lost them. And so I made a random joke. I said around, the people there, saying, oh, maybe they slip into another dimension. Who knows? Because on the property where it occurred, there was at least one person that I knew. Well, two people, because they tapped their own water. And down there in South Africa, all water is fluoridated. You can't even buy non-fluoridated water. So the only way to protect your water is to tap it yourself. So, this is one place I was shocked that it existed. It was horrible down there. Like, if you think it's bad, if you think wherever you are, if you think what you're going through is bad, if you were in South Africa right now, oh my God. I don't know if a program type thing's gone off down there yet, but just being there in general, even if it hadn't, even if there's still people who would say you're crazy if you talked about aliens, I would run up to them and say, oh my God, a real person, even if they think I was crazy for talking about aliens, because the crime is very rampant there, and it's just how they are right now because of all the HARP. But if you try to tell them that HARP existed, they don't know about any of that. But still, just the fact that, oh my God, it's a normal person. I think there's the frequency of someone running up to you, like this is like the famous story of the women who were freed from the house where they were being held captive, and it was where it was this black guy, right? Some black guy hears a scuffle. And he goes over. He's got his McDonald's going over there, and he says, "You know that when a white lady went up to you and like that, something's up, like something's wrong." So yeah. I think even a South African would say, when an American is running up to you saying, "Oh my God, thank God," then something is wrong. The South Africans would find that funny. I'll put that in the tag. So, this is something that I was doing in the car back. I was in the car. My quote mother. I'm not sure what to call it now, because it's not. I should make comedy about this. This is not. It's not my mother. You see, it's a male entity inside of. Somehow inside of her, able to use her memories, able to mimic her, but I don't have the extra-dimensional sight quite yet. It comes and goes. I can't see exactly the same thing, but I will see into a picture or person. or after just a small amount of information, I figure it out if I'm not really quite sure. Um, she had with her a woman who was not a woman, was another entity, because on the way back, this other woman started point blank saying stuff to me, because you see, I mean, okay, here again, once again we see I have my eye totally closed here for a reason. After coming back from the eye doctor, so I go to the eye doctor, and it's a regular eye exam. I have to say, stop, we're done, in the middle of the eye exam, because he shines a flashlight into my eyes through a bizarre lens that I can feel instantly. Oh wait, like that there's some sort of damage, and it wasn't exactly painful. It felt like a pressure. It was something where you could have fooled someone that doesn't have the kind of intuitive sort of sense that I do. Something just said, "Hey, whoa, you did it. Stops. That stops." And he, tried to press it on me again, almost. But after shining it in my eye the second time, I was like, "Oh, whoa, hey, yeah, you get that? You done? You get that out of my eye? We're done." And there is no. I also should mention, this has been my family optometrist. So, meaning this man has known me for over 10 years. I grew up with this man as my eye doctor, as my optometrist, but it was not the same persona in there. It simply wasn't. And what fooled me temporarily was that they can access the memories of their host. So the body, whatever was within him, the spirit inside of him, was able to access his memories in order to pull off pretending to be him, in a way, in order to attempt to fool me, to allow him to shine whatever strange gadget into my eye. But fortunately, I still have a kind of intuitive sense of what feels correct in my body or not. So after this, I had to basically stomp out of there with my quote mother. And on the car ride back, I mean, I had to realize in the middle of the office, I was going to describe how a power. I had never felt this before, but when you talk about people, about how chakras spin, or as a wheel, I could feel around the heart area and also the solar plexus area, suddenly just a spinning that I'd never really felt before. It felt like spheres or vortexes, because it was like something had to intercept what was going on. Before I actually got in to see the doctor, I had coconut water with me. Now, you guys might have watched How to Protect Your Stuff from Being Hexed. When you open something, that right there is a symbolic action in this system of theirs. So when you open something, that right there provides an opening for someone to do something to it, regardless of if it's a clear container or an opaque container. Actually, I have right here. I had one of these here in my hand, and I did this on purpose. The size of the container, I switched to getting these small things because I realized that, oh, okay, they can only do this they have to do this to container by container by container. So the smaller the container you have, the less of the risk there that you waste a whole bunch. Because I knew that by going out with a container like that I was risking it being hexed. And so I had it. It was sealed. It was unopened because I knew, okay, it seems like it's very hard for them to get to stuff that's unopened. it appears that when something's unopened, the sending reptilian has to be very strong, and it seems like they also need to get their hands on the item as well, if it's an unopened, sealed item. Now with the concept of opening an item, like that, opening something sealed, what with it being sealed, I'm not sure of the total significance of that, but it seems like, oh wait, seal 7 seals from Revelation. That could be part of the concept. There's a lot of religion behind this. But to get back to the woman in the car, she was a, quote, life coach. And I thought to myself, I'm sure you do a really great job since you're trying to take and assassinate and murder life. I'd been so angry on the way there that I'd actually said, I'd put my headphones in and I said with the headphones on, "Your acting is pathetic," as I got out of the car because I was just so mad over it. But you might think before I got into the car that was something that was harsh, or that's something that I shouldn't have said, or that, oh, maybe that wasn't what was going on. Oh, then the optometrist himself actually attempts to blind me. He tried to see, when I said get away from this eye, he tried to shine it in the other eye. He was just doing whatever the heck he could manage to do. And it was literally everyone in the doctor's office. Again, while I was imprisoned, what the one male nurse said to me was, it's every doctor, every hospital. So every doctor's office, all of this stuff. If you've been relying on Western medicine, you absolutely have to become your own doctor. You might become stuck in a position where you have literally no one but yourself, or are not sure how to find anyone else that doesn't seem like that's not the Walking Dead scenario. If you are watching this and you would like to help me with this, become involved, because you see, the reason that they want me so sectored off is because of how powerful that I am. They know who is they again. The reptilian overmind type concept. And in general, when we say they, whatever this opposing Illuminati type dominating force trying to dominate the planet and take it into itself, making people into puppets or robots, almost. If you would like to be involved with stopping this, with changing this into something better, please email me, arcturianphilosophy@gmail.com. Email me, alright? And also, if you experience difficulties, if your internet goes down, whatever, do not stop. Do not keep trying. Keep trying. What you can do is create email addresses that you don't normally use. They seem to leave people alone, I notice. If you're not using your real name, if you're still doing things that denote a fearful mentality, because that's what they want. They want you to act like, oh, I need a fake email address because I'm scared, right? You wouldn't have a fake email address if you weren't scared. But either way, do whatever you need to do in your construct to get a hold of me, please. Definitely, because in the middle of being, imprisoned, before knowing how to make videos on YouTube, it was very hard for me to actually do anything when I was actually here in this house to document or prove anything that was happening to me. They also operate so quickly, things manifest so quickly that you cannot document them very easily. It's very hard to do so. Where I wrote this on my one blog. When destroying something, is what stands between your life and this other opposing force winning. You're not thinking about, oh, I need to get my camera to prove to the world that all this stuff is real. If you know that, okay, I have to get rid of this particular object immediately to protect my life, or anything that could be evidence, things like that, where you understand the philosophy and the physics of how these things work, and you know, okay, I have to do this many things, I have to do it goes by so quickly. The way these things work, it's so fast. Think of it as getting a UFO on camera. They go by so fast, you practically need the camera right there and ready to get any of it. If someone had a camera literally right there and ready constantly, or if you had cameras in your house, you could get this stuff on camera. But unfortunately, like, I don't. If someone would like to put cameras in my house because you're interested in this stuff, do it, please. My God, do it, because I don't have the money for that. And I live in a literal Walking Dead town right now. That means every single human, when I go out, just about every single one, is somewhat controlled by this strange force. The degree of control is different, and the degree of whether or not it seems like it's a shape-shifted reptilian, or just a human that's possessed and going along with it willingly, or a human that's possessed and scared out of their mind over the whole thing. That's why I'm not in jail right now. That's why I won't describe this, but that's why I'm not in jail right now. I should totally be in jail, but there was a guy who he was like enslaved. You could say you could tell, but you could tell that it was a person, that it was a real human, not someone that was shapeshifted, and that they really just wanted me to be okay. And knew that, okay, oh man, what do I do? And I could suddenly see that if they didn't go along with everything, that it would mean really big consequences for them. So I couldn't blame the person at all for what exactly happened there. So and it's like, yeah, that's there that with all that happened, which I won't describe. Then the can't really blame me for my actions when the optometrist tries to blind me. Now, after I also my website infinitelightLove.org, but mostly any of you who are healers, arcturianphilosophy@gmail.com. But what is most important are our reactions to these things. One thing that I said to these two, reptilians of some type in the car, I had found out after walking out of the appointment, I realized, wait, hey, when you went out on that and you got stuck on the other dimension and you saw how quickly things manifested, you had to suddenly just start saying aloud, another thing happens, another thing happens. That was all I knew how to do. But I realized, wait a minute, you just knew to say anything, so say specifically what you want and dictate it right now exactly as you're having figured out the Shakespeare connection, I finally figured out what is up with Shakespeare. It's kind of like recommended reading for Satanists, because that's how you curse people, like in this weird verse, pentameter, basically, like it seems like for the Satanists. And so I began to tell them this is what occurs, and this is what is happening, and this is going on, and now this is going to happen, and this is going to heal, and this will heal, and I will come back here to come back and to receive my glasses. And it was as if I sounded like kind of like a nut, but I felt this power come into me. That was where it felt like the chakras were spinning very strongly. Almost inside of me, a visceral feeling of them spinning. And right then at that moment, there was this instant feeling of nothing can touch you. You're safe. You're safe. Nothing can touch you. You're safe. And it was actually very much a Jesus type sensation, which I am supposed to talk about eventually, or speak more about Jesus, because I would not be alive without that particular ascended master. But on the car ride back, I realized, wait a minute, you know what, Krista, you've been on the defensive this whole time. What does Cryon say in book 1? He says, be forward moving now with your energy. This whole time before, you've had to come back and recuperate. Now, no, you need to push forward with your energy. But I realized, wait, when you sit there, you don't say anything. They just start saying stuff. You know that they're making up skits or whatever. Talk back. Just talk over them to dictate what is occurring. You now hold that power. You now have that ability. You're a master manifestor. It's what they keep. That's what everyone keeps calling you. Do it. Manifest what is happening. And so I started to. I started to literally describe. Okay, now I'm going to interrupt. It was funny sounding, but I'm going to describe this when you may find yourself in this kind of situation. And I hope to God you see this before you find yourself in this kind of situation, so you know. Oh, I know from that girl what to do. It was like this. So you've got maybe what look like your quote family, who look like people you know, but they're not really anymore, and you realize you're in a life or death type situation possibly, or I mean, with any kind of threatening situation like this, where you know these are not your real loved ones or friends of any kind or humans at all practically. Well, because it seems like you cannot dictate things, well, I will dictate them for you. And remember, speak in the positive. So now what we are doing, this is what I said. Now we are going back to my apartment, and we are driving back there because I have to keep on saying these things for you, for them to be accomplished. Because life is full of beauty and joy and love and peace. If you're lucky to have 2 Corinthians, I believe, is it 1st or 2 Corinthians? But love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it is not rude, it is not easily angered, it's not self-seeking, seeks no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Then you can start reciting things like that. If you have different scripture memorized, you can recite different scripture, because what's interesting is that they're quite religious. The other thing, the way, for example, that I broke up the appointment with the doctor, the way I got myself out of the doctor's office was I just stopped again. It felt like this intense spinning here, and spinning here and here, solar plexus. I had never felt the spinning there, solar plexus, before. And I simply managed to stop everything by saying, well, now this appointment is done, and I give many thanks to the soul of Dr. Not sure if I should say his name, but perhaps I will. Fletcher Thames. It's a funny name, so can't really get confused. To Dr. Fletcher Thames for being my doctor since I was younger. But the idea is that you say this strongly and powerfully because you have to say this in a firm fashion for it to work. And you also must really believe what you are saying. Okay, you have to do this in a very powerful fashion. When this energy comes upon you, it's almost like you could picture it as something like smoke in the air. It's almost like something tangible, like when someone says you could cut the tension in the room with a knife. It's similar to that. And if you have not experienced this, that sounds crazy to you. But if it sounds crazy to you, email me. If this sounds crazy to you, you have to email me, because it means you are in the right place at the right time. You're watching this right now, in the right place at the right time, because you are one of the few last left of all of humanity who stands a chance at saving your planet. Am I being serious? Yes. Look at this. Am I being serious? Yes, I am. And also, well, why am I half wearing a bathrobe? Well, because it's cold. And also because I don't really care what people think of me. But I am supposed to put this word out. I did think to myself on the way home, well, you know what, this would make a really interesting YouTube video. Wow, the optometrist who tried to blind me. What kind of world are we living in? The woman at the, coming back, she said to me, she said, I know who you are, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know who I am. What the hell are you talking about? Same thing they would do it when I was imprisoned in the hospital, where they were doing experiments on me. It was like they had this opinion, like we know who she is. That was the first, and also my first encounter with these entities. The one that wanted to possess me kept on arguing with one of his friends, and he was saying to this girl, or to this female reptilian, no, we should, we want her, because of quote who I was. This whole thing about who I am, and I was not exactly sure who they meant, and it was something about a past life, maybe. I was not sure. Was not quite sure what they meant by exactly who I was, or who she is. But when I was in the car saying to them, "You are driving to my house, and this is what happens," and da da da, it was too much, I think, for the other woman, there, the quote life coach, to handle. And she actually turned around and started saying to me, like, in this religious kind of fervor, like how you hold no power here. I know who you are. Like, what are you even talking about? And then she even said, and the last thing she said is, and truth. Something, you mentioned something about truth, and I can't remember what the statements were that she was making, because when I heard her talking about that, associating herself somehow with truth, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're trying to control the planet, like you're trying to dominate the entire planet, destroy everything. You're both completely mind controlled. Yeah, you're high up on your totem pole, but you're still mind controlled. You're still treated like crap. Life coach yourself, because I know ultimately that you are not happy. That's probably why you're a life coach, because you're so unhappy. Now I can finally say that I'm an Ibogaine provider because I love life. And also I have to, and this is going to be harder for the exorcism stuff, but having to learn to be an exorcist. But most people who are, just about everyone actually, everyone who's a provider, they do it, I think, because secretly they are so unhappy. And being a provider gives them regular access to Ibogaine, easy access to it, so that they can keep taking it to get that to go, get that feeling of not wanting to be alive to go away. But now I can say I'm an Ibogaine provider because I love the idea of being alive. I used to call it the pain of being conscious. That feeling that made all of the spies that would be watching me go over to that dark side. It was the best choice for you at the time. But it makes me sad for them. And now they're trapped. So, what are we to do about it? Well, one thing I said to them in that car was, you see, you do these things to it, meaning myself, saying it as a joke, because they'll say it to refer to human. They'll say it, not he or she or anything. It, and I said to them as a joke, and you do these things to it, and then it's actually happy afterwards, and you wonder why, and it's because I would say God, but not what you think of as or demanding blood and sacrifice and fear and feeding, but instead simply gives you that energy. I would say, or also I said love. I would say love, but not of that God that would demand those things from you, like the God of the Old Testament, which is Lucifer pretending to be the quote God that we think of. The source itself is technically not like quote God, like a God thing. It's kind of like a force, like an intense energy. And that it was that energy you call it like the Holy Spirit, like being filled with the Holy Spirit. It's kind of like that, more so than the idea of quote God, like God the Father. It's not really like an idea like that. It's an idea of the Holy Spirit, and as I was protected by this, it was like a strong feeling of what you could call a Holy Spirit, this of source energy, of this spiritual energy that came into me, that protected me around all of this. And so I think after this, I'll wrap this up and take the opportunity to talk a little bit about Jesus as an ascended master, because it's been Jesus who has intervened basically for me, and I've realized that there's a lot of misconception around Jesus in general, and I'm by no means any kind of authority really on it, even though I was raised practically in a seminary type school, but everything that we're taught regarding him being like almost magical, we miss that he was a literal like person. Think like Buddha. When you think of Buddha, you think of a person that lived and died. The hype around Jesus tends to take away from the fact that, oh yeah, he was like a person with like flesh and everything that lived and died, but then did some really out there cool Pleiadian stuff on top of it. And so I might talk a little bit about that in the future. It was Cryon, again, who was like the right-hand angel in getting me out of the optometrist's office alive. Before I was mentioning the coconut water, before the appointment, what had happened, that was when I opened the top, they had done something, a series of signals between each other, so that I knew, oh darn it, as soon as I'd opened the container, they had done something to the liquid inside, but I knew that it was something bad, like something more than just hex, something that was like where I experienced something where it was more than just a nuisance. Let's just say that. And I knew that usually what I would do is I would, if something had happened, I would take a sip and determine, oh, is that, bad or not? But something told me, just throw this out immediately, right now. Throw it out. And I got up, but then as I got up, I started laughing hysterically because I thought to myself, oh my god, I am in the middle of the optometrist's office, and this is actually happening. I'd had several comments made, which were, you could tell, were referencing, like, attempting to to forcibly reincarnate me, almost. And I knew, oh, okay, they're trying to see if they can actually do that while I'm out with them here. Oh my god. Okay. And obviously, since the entire police department here is controlled, the police actually, told an elderly man in a confrontation with me to go get over there, and the guy was not doing anything, and I said, oh, I would have let him just pass, and the cop turned to the one cop and he said, yeah, let him do what they want. That was what happened there. So in general, with all of this stuff, now I can see where Cryon's trick 2 is never stop laughing. Because then, even if you couldn't see, why would it matter? You're still happy. but I will see. There's this idea of seeing the light. So what better contrast is there for someone who wants to see the light than temporarily there being an issue with seeing any light? But if all goes well, it should be something that not only heals, but serves as an example to us all. If you had the patience to actually watch through all of this, I'm grateful. Now that I can see more as far as how interesting this whole stupid game has gotten, this means we have to strategize a bit better. Train and network, which I know will happen. Also, I'm going to make another video about this, but I asked Sudevi for a refund. Manitya Sudevi, I asked her for a refund for the cursed crystals, and I did not get a reply yet that I can see. What happened was right after I did it, I had several of the little seeds thrown at me. I have the footage of that I just have not uploaded yet, but I took pictures of them and everything this time rather than just throw them out, because I thought, oh yeah, I need to prove this to people, I need to get this out there. So I did do that. So I guess that settles the matter, unfortunately, right now. Oh dear, poor Sudevi. Well. Also, this, I'm going to wait and see on this, but with Chris Kaler, he on his website he has an emergency telephone number. So I tried to call it after lying down like a mummy. I tried to call it, and I received an instant text message saying you've been blocked by this number. And I didn't know what it was at first, so I called again and said, you've been blocked by this number. But when I called it first and I received the text message, instantly at that moment there was cackling laughter outside. And that's how these things work, where it's like they're all part of one mind, in a way, but shelled off into different sectors, where different sections will know will know different things, and others will know other things. And half the time they're being lied to about whatever the heck they're being told. And they don't even understand that most of the time. So, was he some sort of satanic puppet? Not quite sure. But something told me, Krista, they can control whether or not you're set up as a blocked number. You've seen them do all kinds of things randomly to your electronics. You've seen that happen. Just try and email the guy. Try and see what happens here. But there was something that was said that caused me to think to myself, what exactly is this guy doing? What exactly is going on here? So I did at one point think to myself, there is some slight reason for suspicion about some certain things, but it seemed like he he was legitimate enough. But either way, that was rather discouraging. But the idea is that the idea is for them to discourage you. So instead, what we do is we don't lose that resolve. The idea is to get you to think that you are all alone, that you've got no hope. That's the one of the people that was at the hospital said, "Let hope go." That's what helps me the most, is letting hope go. For me, that's not an option, because I know that they want to. It's not like they want to possess me now because I've been so pesky. It's like they want to kill me. So my only hope is having hope. So that's fortunate for me. But if you're in this kind of position, or ever put into this kind of position, they want you to think that you're all alone. But see, we innately know there are others. We know. We might all be holed up in basements or whatever, but there are others of us that are out there. They might try to mess around with us to make us think that so and so's turned evil. Like Cryon, they tried to make me think Cryon was evil, but I knew that wasn't true. I knew that the way the book changed, in the presence of their energy, and the way the pictures would change to look evil, I just knew that's not right. That's not right. And still, Cryon's the very helpful magnetic master angel guy who has helped me get through all this stuff. Without his help, also, I wouldn't really have been able to do any of this. So the point is, you're not alone. You are never, ever alone. You don't have to have any of the special abilities that people talk about. If you do, great. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. Because as Cryon would say, Lemurian, he would say, "I know who's watching." He would say, if you're watching me for this long, and you're actually done doing this for an hour, you're definitely a Lemurian. The idea is to take heart in the universe, that the universe will take care of you no matter what. What I felt during this whole altercation, it has occurred like less than 6 hours ago, basically. It's the kind of thing that lets you know and understand, oh, we do actually have a Galactic Federation of Light protecting us. Oh, there are actually angels. This stuff does really exist. Because it was so clear that had they had the opportunity once more to kill me at that point, that they would have. And when they realized that I had thrown out whatever poisonous stuff in the drink, that then try to see if they could do something else. But they fail. We prevail. And we have so much on our side. So many. So many angels, so many of our relatives. So much is still on our side. it feels like we're alone, but we are never, ever, ever alone. Also, John Lennon was kind of part of the show. It was like I didn't have my iPod on or anything, but I started to hear um, different things along the lines of, do the Oz, you're gonna, and different snippets of music that was kind of similar to how he conveyed to me. This was how I got through Magical Mystery Land, like Magical Mystery Tour Land, and how horrible it was, and that he started having to worry about that kind of thing. Because remember, he was assassinated, so then this was why. Everyone knows he was assassinated because he was an activist for peace. We all know that. This is undeniable. Even though you could say it's a lone nut or whatever, we all know. As a kind of human consciousness, we don't even have to be American. We all kind of just know. That's why he was assassinated. It was something because of his activism for peace. Well, in this situation that I am in, it's kind of like a similar sort of thing, which makes me feel sort of nice because everyone likes John Lennon, and people try to say, oh, well, no one will ever like me, but I know that's because I've been so darned angry at all the stupid hackers and everybody. But why do you look for the living among the dead, as I'll get told? Why do I make my videos an entire freaking hour long? Perhaps I'll prove that doesn't have to be exactly an hour long. I don't quite plan this stuff out, especially when I've just come home from the optometrist who tried to blind me, the other people in the office who tried to kill me with something in the beverage. I can't exactly lie here half dying, proving to you that it was something in the beverage, and I'm glad I didn't, and did not fall for the trap, like before. With this stuff, you just have to go on your instinct, whether or not someone thinks it's real or not. Who cares? If you make some comment on this video that's some sort of derogatory thing towards me, who cares? Because I'm not going to look at it. And if you are watching this still, remember, that's why I say email me, because I don't look at the comments on purpose, because it's too much of stupid people saying things, or possibility there. Too many openings exist there for me because of what's happening here with me. If I look at that stuff, there are too many openings for bad things to happen. So, email me instead, arcturianphilosophy@gmail.com, because I am not going to. I'm going to stand and I'm going to fight. I am not going to sit here and get killed. And I'm going to make as many darn YouTube videos as I have to make, and look through as many people as I have to look through to do it, to find it, to live, to survive, like Cryan would say, outwit, outstand, outlast, survivor. We're survivors, and we will survive. He said, certain soul groups are destined to survive. And I thought to myself, I wonder who he means. I bet he means those crystal children or something. And then he said, indigos. We're going to make it. You better believe it. And, hey, even if something were to happen, I heard, who wouldn't take pride in their first real battle scar? But it's not going to be a scar. It's going to be a miracle to prove that he is Lord.